Avi, Charlton, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Jack.
I'm excited to have you here.
Yeah.
I think we're going to cover a lot of good topics that everybody's going to get some good information from. But before we do, what is health?
What is health? Health is when your body's working properly, when you are functioning properly, when our body works in the optimal way. That's how I would define health.
I agree. A lot of people see health as something you do, not something your body is. And I think when your body is optimal and it is functioning properly, that is health. So what do you see most commonly when people are, trying to improve their health, or people come to see you and then they're trying to improve their health? What's the biggest mistakes or the common factors that people are getting wrong?
Yeah. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that impede health, like our lifestyle, what we've been taught. There's lots of confusing messages as well. And a lot of people say they're time poor, busy, stressed, and putting other people on top before them, like mums like me, putting the kids and family before themselves, and just not prioritizing their health because they're not thinking about it first.
Why do you think that is, though? Because we all know health is so important, but then we go and look after everybody else before we look after ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Why is it? I think it's the conditioning. There's so much going on in our lives now. We're so busy, and our jobs and money and so many things.
Where would you say somebody should start when it comes to improving their health and wellness?
Yeah, I usually suggest people to be curious and start learning, even small steps. Even just improving a little bit in their health can make them feel better. And start seeking or learning from different people that they think it's reputable sources. And be curious in learning about their own body as well, how the body is telling. The body is amazing, and our body can tell you lots of different messages. And if you're tired, run down, hungry all the time and not sleeping well, your body might be telling you something that maybe you're not feeling your body with the right food, maybe you're not getting outside enough sunlight or not moving around enough. Maybe you're stressed, or maybe too much going on in your life. So listen to your body, be curious, and be curious about learning different things. That's how I would ask people to start.
Yeah, I love that. Be curious. Is that something you've always done? Like because you're a doctor, you've been a doctor for 25 years now, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something you've always practiced, curiosity?
I think I've gotten more and more curious because there's different messages, the things that I've learned back in medical school that just hasn't worked or I'm not using anymore, and I've learned a lot of things and then relearned different things, and different ideation that hasn't served me or my patients, and being curious in learning different type of thinking and trying to find what works for myself as well as my patients. And I think this is what I try to remind myself and my patients more and more, is being curious and keep learning.
Yeah, I like that. So can we dive into sort of what you've maybe learnt and then what you don't use now, and things you've changed your mind on that you think are more beneficial to clients or people trying to improve their health?
Yeah. So because I'm a doctor GP for over 20 years, lots of people come in to see me for all sorts of different things, and especially something like weight loss or how to improve on their health and how to feel better in themselves. And I used to tell people that to lose weight, you need to eat less, move more, and that's as simple as that. And I've unlearned that, and it's not as simple as that. It's so many different factors to lose weight. And so many different factors that go into it, especially, for example, our hormones like our insulin or leptin and hunger hormones, and even stress hormones like cortisol. All those things get into it, and I myself are heading into perimenopause, and then my estrogen's probably running out, and then the progesterone might be going low at times. So hormones go into it a lot, and understanding it's not just about eating less and moving more. And quite often I see people just starving themselves and not eating at all, or they would just have a bowl of salad with not much going on in there, not much nutrient, and their body is actually starving. Their body would want to hold on to all the weight. And so that's just an example that I've unlearned telling patients that eat less, move more.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is very common, especially in the social media world.
Yep.
It's just like, just move more, eat less, and you'll be fine.
Yep.
But like you said, there's so much more that's in depth, and everybody's different. So what works for one person doesn't work for the other.
Absolutely, yes. And yes, so everyone's different. You are your own N=1, and you've got to find out what works best for you. And whatever I say might not work for you, and sometimes we have to tweak, and I might give you some suggestions on different things to do, and sometimes we might troubleshoot with what your ideal diet looks like. And everyone is so different.
Yeah. So let's dive into what you're doing now. Tell
Yep.
me about you, what you do, and how you help people.
Yeah, sure. So my personal journey started about 10 years ago when I started running and exercise, and I discovered a low-carb diet, ketogenic diet, and I dived into it, and there's so much science to it on how to practice low-carb keto diets. So I myself, this was introduced by my gym instructor, and he gave me a spreadsheet on so much protein, so much fat, so much carbs that I had to follow, and this was an 8-week body transformation challenge, and I followed that to the T, and I put food on the scale, and I lost 4% body fat, 4 kilos, and I was great, happy.
Yeah. In how many weeks?
In 8 weeks.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah. So that introduced me that, wow, this is low carb, keto, not low fat. So I looked into it and did a few courses, including Low Carb Down Under, Nutrition Network, and I became a metabolic health practitioner with the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners in the USA. I went to conferences, including Low Carb USA, and I learned about therapeutic carbohydrate restriction as a tool for not just weight loss, but also reversal of diabetes and other chronic conditions like mental health conditions and autoimmune conditions. So I keep learning and put my name down into Low Carb Down Under, which your followers can go and search up Low Carb Down Under YouTube. There's so many videos that you can learn from. So I put my name down as a doctor that is low carb friendly, and people travelled all around Melbourne and from the country and even interstate to come and see me to learn about low carb, and some of them already do low carb, but their doctor isn't supportive of this journey.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to low carb?
Yeah, a lot of health practitioners and doctors believe low carb is dangerous, it's inflammatory, it's not sustainable because people can't stick to it, and they think the cholesterol will go up and that's dangerous. So that's a lot of misunderstanding, and they haven't learned into the science of cholesterol, and the sustainability is how your mindset goes. So maybe they just need some more support on how to sustain a real fruit low carb diet. And low carb is just eating real fruits. So we're eating real food like meat, eggs, chicken, fish, and veggies, and we're eating according to your carb tolerance. So if people are diabetic and want to lose weight, quite often they just can't eat so much carbs because all the carbs will become glucose and stored as fat. So if you're wanting to lose weight and if you're diabetic, your body can't break down glucose. So that is carbohydrate intolerant. That's a definition of diabetes. So we need to learn how to look at our carbohydrate tolerance and eat according to that. And if we manage our mindset, sustainability can be improved. And the cholesterol is another story. That is, there's so much more to cholesterol other than what we've taught in medical school.
Can we dive into cholesterol just a little bit?
Yeah.
Because it's a very general question. A lot of time
Yes.
it comes up, especially with clients I train in person,
Yes.
online, through the podcast. People
Yep.
are always asking about cholesterol.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of research myself. And,
Okay.
and obviously there's a lot of conflicting
Yes.
stuff out there.
Yeah.
So can you just explain cholesterol? What is cholesterol?
Yes. So cholesterol is a little particle inside our body. It's little fat molecules. Our body actually needs cholesterol. So it's actually really essential to have cholesterol in our diet and in our body. These little fat molecules, our body also make cholesterol. And we need cholesterol for our hormones. We need it for our cell membrane. And it's not a dangerous thing that we have cholesterol. So eating healthy fats will improve our cholesterol, and if our body doesn't have enough cholesterol, our body will make it to sustain what we need to function. And what happens is there's different types. There's in the cholesterol profile, there's different things that we can look at. There's total cholesterol. There's a little particle called triglyceride. Triglyceride is a little fat molecule that it actually goes up when you're eating too much carbs. So that is a marker of if you're metabolically not healthy, the triglyceride goes up. There's also HDL. We call it good cholesterol, and it's good to have good high HDL, good cholesterol. And then there's LDL, which everybody calls it bad cholesterol. And it's actually so much more to LDL than bad. So it's not all bad. There's actually different types of LDL called the big fluffy LDL type 1 and 2. And then there's small and dense LDL 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's actually studies showing that the smaller, the denser is more, increases your risk of clogging in the arteries. We call it atherosclerotic, and increasing risk of heart attacks and strokes. So the small dense LDLs are no good, but the big fluffy LDLs are actually great. So when you measure, it is all of the LDLs, including the big fluffy and the small dense. Quite often people going into low carb, real food, ketogenic, good healthy lifestyle, their body actually makes more cholesterol, total cholesterol, as well as the big fluffy good LDLs. And there's less small dense LDLs. And I can actually organize a test called LDL subtraction, which most doctors haven't looked into this science. And this is what I unlearned and relearned, that if we measure these particle size of the LDL, that we can actually find out what's your predominant type of LDL it is. Is it good type of big fluffy LDL or small dense LDL that is oxidized by things? And what I mean by the things is the not so good things in your lifestyle. For example, glucose, processed foods, seed oil, vegetable oil, pollution will also do that, and stress. All those things can oxidize this good big fluffy LDL and become small dense LDL, and that is the not so good lifestyle that will increase the risk of having heart attack and strokes.
I've had a couple of clients that have had high cholesterol,
Yeah.
but they're the healthiest people I've ever seen.
Yes, yes.
And their doctors really want them to go on medication to bring that down.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not giving medical advice or anything like that, but that seems to be very common, having high cholesterol but healthy.
Absolutely, yes. So I must admit, I myself have very high cholesterol. Mine's about 9, and my LDL is high. But looking at my profile, my triglycerides really low, and my HDL is really high. So this is the ratio, the triglyceride to HDL ratio is actually much better to look at than the total cholesterol and the LDL. And when I look into a patient, it is not just the cholesterol profile, it's a whole picture. We also look at diabetes tests like HbA1c, which is the average blood glucose over a 3-month period. We also look at the fasting glucose and fasting insulin, which most doctors don't measure. So fasting insulin is the hormone. Insulin is a hormone that your body produces to ship glucose and make it become fat. And if you have insulin resistance, your body will make more and more insulin. And if you have too much insulin, your body is still managing to not become a diabetic yet, but we can still measure this insulin and warn you before you become a diabetic. Insulin will make you more storing belly fat. It can make you more tired, more hungry, and even increase your risk of cancer. So looking into the big picture of a whole person rather than just your cholesterol profile. And I also like to check a CT scan called coronary artery calcium score for patients over 40 and over 50 especially, to see if there's any existing heart artery blockages. Then that will tell me if you've got higher chance of heart attacks, and that incorporate all into the picture. That gives me an idea of if you're high risk for heart attacks or low risk for heart attacks, rather than just the LDL or cholesterol and giving a statin that way. So I do have a lot of patients that come in to see me because their doctor is threatening them that you have to take a statin, otherwise they will disown them and don't want to see them anymore. So I work and empower my patients that it is your choice. I'm giving you this information to empower you, whether you want to take a statin or not. And this is the information that I would empower you, whether it will be helpful for your journey. And sometimes I do write back to the patient's doctor that, look, there's studies showing that if your patient is doing low carb and the calcium score is 0, there's really not much risk of cardiovascular risk. And so there's not much point in putting them on a statin. So I do write back to their GPs because these patients, they like the GP and the GPs mean well, but they just haven't looked into the science like I did. And I used to be that GP 5 years ago before I unlearned this and then relearned a new way of approaching.
Yeah, I bet some of those conversations are probably a bit hard to get across.
Yeah.
But like you said, being curious, like for everybody listening, just be curious. Like it doesn't have, just because somebody said something doesn't mean you have to do it. You can be curious and understand different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of ways I want to go with that. Why, again, I wanted to sort of dive into why you changed your mind on that exact, because it seems to be a very big line in the medical industry profession that some people on this side, and then it's almost like you've got to cross that line, and then some people on the other side. Like, why do you think there's that such hard line, and why do you think some people won't accept, low carb or keto diets?
Yeah, I think it could be these doctors haven't been curious enough to keep looking, and because medical school has taught them the risk for heart attack is high cholesterol. Maybe they haven't seeing the signs. Maybe they haven't had a personal journey themselves that triggered them to keep looking. But the more that I have looked into this and the more patients I see, the healthier people, if they have low triglyceride and high HDL, then they're pretty good in general, generalizing a bit. And it doesn't matter if they have high cholesterol and high LDL. And there are actually science studies showing that the higher the cholesterol, the longer you live. So you live longer by having high cholesterol. And in fact, I've stopped my mum's cholesterol tablet because she has high cholesterol and she's 83 and she's actually reversed her diabetes because I keep nagging her to not eat so much carbs, and she's doing fantastic. And I think her mind is working much better without the statin that some other doctor has given her back many years ago.
Yeah, and again, not giving medical advice, but
Exactly.
the clients I've had that, again, have that high cholesterol, but are some of the healthiest people. And they are pretty much low carb diet as well, without trying to be.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's just eating normal food. So let's dive into, when I say carbs, what do most people think of, and what should people be like doing when it comes to carbohydrates, eating, I should say.
Yeah. It is quite confusing because people say, oh, what are carbs? I think if you get rid of your sugar, glucose, and the grain, the bread, and the processed foods, then you're most way there. So if you get rid of sugar and processed foods, that's amazing. That's great. And everyone knows sugar's no good. But a lot of people don't realise that all the carbohydrates, bread, potato, pasta, they are all glucose molecules linked together. So if you eat your pasta, bowl of pasta, it will become glucose in your bloodstream. And people think they're whole food, real food, and the bread and the potatoes, they just don't realise cutting out will give them an extra edge of, if they want to lose weight and if they want to reverse the diabetes, then getting rid of those foods will be really helpful for their journey. And the mindset really should be more about embracing real foods, embracing good, healthy protein and eating healthy fats, rather than, oh, I can't have so much yummy foods. I can't have all the carbs and cakes and biscuits. Because if you think about the cakes and the biscuits, and they all become glucose, all the glucose goes into your bloodstream, and they all become fat because your insulin comes in and store them as fat. Why? And they're highly inflammatory. They make you hungry. They don't make you feel well. Why would you want to eat those glucose and biscuits and cakes? I know it's easier said than done.
Yeah, because they're delicious.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when it comes to vegetables, you mentioned potatoes. So would it be safe to say white foods or white vegetables are considered like not in the keto diet, or? I would agree with that. So white potatoes. So sweet potatoes, that sort of stuff?
Actually, sweet potatoes is still carbs. It depends on your goal. So depends on what you want. If your goal is to lose weight, reverse diabetes, those potatoes, including the sweet potatoes, may not be that helpful for your journey.
So it just depends on the person and their resistance to...
Yeah, but if you want to go slowly and you want to get rid of sugar and processed foods first and then hang on to the potato and sweet potato, and it's part of your progression towards a real food diet, and you go step by step, that's fantastic. So I think that's a great thing you can do if those people want to just start with eating real food first.
Let's just go over the difference between carnivore diet and keto. Is there a difference, and what is the difference?
Yeah. I have a lot of people that do the carnivore diet, and they come in to see me because, again, their doctor's not supportive of just eating meat and eggs, animal food. and they come to see me for support. And I'm totally supportive of the carnivore diet. And the difference between the carnivore diet, the keto diet, and the low carb diet is the carnivore diet is really low carb and ketogenic. They just eat animal products, so meat, eggs, chicken, fish, and dairy products. It's good in a way that sometimes some people can't tolerate some plants, and there are plant toxins that can cause problems in many people. And it also gives people a way to stop thinking about other type of food, because they're telling themselves they're only eating animal products. They don't have much choice, and there's no thoughts about sugar, processed foods, and plants and fruit. They're limited to animal products. And I think our body needs mainly protein and healthy fats. I think the carnivore way of life just gives us all the essential nutrients. Plants are great for a lot of people, but it is optional. That's my new thinking. So a lot of people, most people can have plants, but people not having plants is not a problem. So carnivore is great for those people. It eliminates their food noises. They go really low carb ketogenic. They're not hungry. And many of them actually reverses autoimmune conditions. And I've seen people eliminating lots of conditions like skin conditions, eczema, psoriasis, even aches and pains. And they lose weight real fast. So carnivore is great in that way. But it is difficult to stay just eating animal products. And I think keto is great as well. So if you eat keto, it's mainly the protein and above ground veggies and having a ketosis in your body. So it's a state in your body burning ketones. So usually it's about less than 20 grams of carbohydrates in a day. So if you eat meat and meat, eggs, chicken, fish, and above ground veggies, you'll be ketogenic, and you can eat 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day, and you're not as hungry, because having ketones actually reduces hunger. Ketones is also anti-inflammatory. So having ketones is actually really beneficial to not make you hungry and heal your body. And you can fuel your body with ketones. So you can go exercise, you can go running, and I run on ketones, and that gives your mind a clarity as well, because ketones is good for the brain, and you can burn ketones. You don't have to burn glucose in your brain. So carnivore is great, ketogenic diet is great, and if you can't do keto, low carb is amazing. So low carb is still great. Usually it means less than 50 grams of carbs a day. Just compared to the standard diet, it's 200 or 300 grams of carbs a day. So most people are having cereal for breakfast, bread for lunch, and pasta for dinner. That's actually a lot of carbs. And if you're really metabolically healthy, go running and exercising, and not... So my teenage son, called Jack, who is really metabolically healthy because he's still young and he hasn't used up his insulin yet. So he can eat the bowl of pasta and the potatoes and the bread because he's still young. But he might not be able to keep doing that when he's 35 or 40.
So when it comes to... Let's just dive into ketones real quick. We talk like ketones were very popular like a few years ago. I feel like they come in waves. They get popular and then they go off and they get popular again. How do you know if you're in ketosis? Is that important to know? Like when it comes to ketones, what should people know?
Yeah, it's a tool. People, if they know they're in ketosis, it might be helpful for them to
How
collect
would you know
data.
if you're in ketosis or not?
Yeah, there's a few ways you can check your body ketones. If you're just a beginner in the keto diet, you can get some urine dipsticks, and if you weigh on a cup and use some dipstick to check if you've got urine ketones, that might be helpful. But those that are in the keto diet for a while, your body might actually use the ketones. It might not show up in your urine. Then you can use breath ketone meter, so you can blow on a meter. I actually haven't tried that because I've actually had a finger prick ketone meter.
Okay.
So I have a meter that does glucose finger prick as well as ketone finger prick. And if you prick a finger and aim over 0.5 of ketones, then your body is in ketosis. Which a lot of people who overnight, they'll be in ketosis, and if you don't eat, then your body will be in ketosis. Babies are in ketosis because the mother's breast milk is actually a ketogenic diet.
Okay.
So you can prick your fingers and know you're in ketosis. You can actually have a continuous ketone meter, and I had worn this meter a couple of times. So it's like a continuous glucose meter, which is an amazing tool for your listeners as well to learn about your body glucose response. And similarly, you can have a continuous ketone meter. Pop it into your arm. It lasts for 2 weeks. The ketone meter will talk to your phone as an app, and you can see your ketones going up and down. And quite often, before a meal, if you're in a keto diet, your ketones will go up before you eat. If you fasted for, let's say, 15, 16 hours, then your ketone will gradually rise before a meal. And then after a meal, your ketones will go down, and then it'll go up again just before dinner. So that's how you can learn about ketones.
I did want to dive into all the glucose meters, the
Yeah.
so when it comes to those sort of things, I've never actually used a glucose meter or anything like that. I'm brand
Okay.
new to it.
Okay.
I'm keen to get into it.
Yep.
What should I know? Or where should I start?
I would encourage people to look into a continuous glucose meter as a starter, and then you will learn a lot about what your body is doing with whatever is putting in and what you're doing to your body, even exercise, stress, and then you learn about your body, again, being curious. So you can go to websites like Freestyle Libre, or there's a Sibionics is another glucose meter. So you can purchase these glucose meter, lasts for 2 weeks. You can pop it in your arm and talks to the app, and then if your body glucose is flatline, that's great. If you eat a bowl of pasta and it spikes, then you know this bowl of pasta is just spiking your glucose and not doing very well. If this spike lasts very long and it's quite a mountain that goes for a long time, means this bowl of pasta is causing havoc to your body with high blood glucose for a while. But maybe if you go for a walk after dinner, after this bowl of pasta, it goes down, then maybe it might be helpful for you to learn that having a bowl of pasta means going out for a walk afterwards. That might bring the glucose down, and that might be an ideal way to learn about your body.
So you could almost use that for any food group. So if I have some
Absolutely.
fruit and it spikes, or it spikes and then doesn't come down for a long time, I
Yeah.
know fruit doesn't really sit for me.
Absolutely.
Or insert vegetable here, because you were saying before how some vegetables can cause, issues for some people,
Yeah,
and it's hard to know, but you could tell with the glucose monitor.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's about your own data.
Very interesting. Do you combine that with anything else, like calorie counting on the app? Like, do you get people to count? So if I was to eat, so I was tracking my glucose, should I be tracking how much I'm eating as well at the same time? Is it worth doing that much information?
It really depends on the person, how much they like to track. Some people like a lot of data. Some people will stress them out and they don't like to track. So if you're following, if you come in to see me and you want to lose weight, you want to do low carb or keto, I just talk about these foods are really great. So I give them a food list. These good foods are in the green list. These foods are in the yellow list. And then there's these foods in the red list. If you like to track with an app like Carb Manager or Chronometer, then that's great. You can use those data. If you want to keep a food diary, that's amazing too. If you want to use a continuous glucose meter and see your glucose levels going up and down, that's good for your data. And some people want to write their diary and keep symptoms and how they're feeling, their mental clarity, bloatedness, and that's great data as well.
I think the diary is actually very underrated.
Yeah.
I think, again, looking back on how you feel when you eat certain foods, people just forget. If you eat the cookies and cakes, it seems good at the time, but it does make you feel pretty bad. So if you got that diary entry to say, I feel bad, don't do this again, it's a little bit more inspiring or convincing not to have it again. So I think that's a very underrated tool.
Absolutely. It's so easy. Yeah.
Anything else based around the carbs or ketos that we've missed in this little segment of the podcast that people should be aware of?
Yeah. I think it's not just the carbs, but also the processed foods. And then there's the fats. A lot of people fear eating fats, but there's healthy fats and there's not so healthy fats. So prioritizing eating good, healthy fats is really important.
Have you got some examples of good fats and bad fats?
Yeah, so most people realize the good fats is like avocado, nuts and seeds, and even the fat around the meat is actually great. So people can safely eat those pork crackle and...
It's the best part.
Yeah, and chicken skin and duck skin. So those are actually fine to eat, and we've been demonizing these animal fats for a while, and even the fat around the steak, and they're great. But a lot of people don't understand the vegetable oil, seed oil, canola oil are the bad fats. So as much as possible, if we can stay away from those, which are highly inflammatory and causes a lot of havoc on your body, those include margarine and canola oil, sunflower oil, rice bran oil. They've been advertised as heart healthy, like, or cholesterol lowering, flora margarine. Whereas those are processed foods and they cause a lot of inflammation in our body. Just
before we move on, I'm going to have a dig at my brother here because he's on the carnivore diet.
Okay.
Again, not saying it's bad or anything like that, but I would like to see him eating a little bit healthier when it comes to the carnivore diet, because a lot of people go on the carnivore diet and load up on the cheeses and don't actually necessarily understand that there could be those bad fats in the cheeses and the dairy and all that sort of stuff, because unfortunately manufacturers of food just hide that sort of stuff in there.
Yeah.
So is there a point where you should sort of start adding vegetables back into the carnivore diet? Because my brother's all about, he's like, what you said about the vegetables being bad for you and they can cause. So from what you've told me, for him, I'd say probably get a glucose monitor, add some little things back in and just see the effects on your body. Would that be a proper way to go?
If he wants to add vegetables, then absolutely, he can add some more.
I don't think he wants to. I just want to see him moving away from some of the dairy products, because again, maybe it's just me having misconception or misinformation about the dairy products. When it comes to dairy, good, bad, should we avoid some, eat more?
Depends, really depends.
Okay.
Yeah. Depends if you're dairy tolerant or intolerant, and it might come down to genetics. Like if you're white person like yourself, then you might be more dairy tolerant. A lot of the Asians can't tolerate dairy, so I'm not doing much dairy, especially the milk. But if it's butter or cheese, a little bit is okay. So it depends on your dairy tolerance, and a lot of it's genetics.
Quality, does that matter?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So good quality dairy is really great.
I'm a big fan of good quality everything.
Absolutely.
So fruit, veggies, meat, everything.
Absolutely. If you can buy organic, that's great. If you can't afford it, then non-organic real food is still much better than the processed food. So it's different level.
And like we were saying before, growing your own and having your own veggie patch, that's the best,
Yeah,
best way to go.
yeah, absolutely.
So you've written a book. Tell me about your book.
My book is in the editors. It's coming in September. It's called Prescribing Lifestyle, a doctor's prescription to long-lasting weight loss and vibrant health. So it's my sharing of my journey and what I think it's helpful for people, because it's confusing, the diet wars, so much messages. Everyone talks different things. The dietitians would say something else, and then there's plant-based. Everyone talks about different messages. I'm just sharing what I have learned, and it's up to the reader to decipher if they think it's helpful.
What will somebody get from the book if they pick it up and give it a read?
I just would like them to, again, be curious and start going into the journey. So maybe they haven't looked into all the lifestyle. The book tells them what I have learned and what they can keep learning in what direction, and gives them what some of the people that I have followed, and you can look into those journeys. And there's different pillars that I've looked into, including nutrition, strength training, stress management, breathwork, which includes breathwork, and the community side of things, and having a supportive group of people supporting you, and managing addictions. So people with certain addictions, they might need to take things a little bit differently to moderation if they have an addiction.
When you say addiction, what are you talking about?
We all know drug and alcohol addiction is quite detrimental. So people with alcohol addiction, we know that abstinence is the main thing. But then there's food addiction, sugar addiction, which isn't talked about enough.
I agree.
So processed food and sugar addiction is real, and the processed foods, people actually manufacture the processed food to hit you in a bliss point that you can't stop. So if you open a packet of chips, because they've put in all those chemicals and numbers,
and just the feel of it in your mouth,
right,
everything.
yes.
Yeah.
You can't stop at 1 or 2 chips. You're going to eat the whole packet. And then there's these people that if you eat sugar, they just can't stop, because the chemicals in the brain have hijacked their part of the brain, and it's out of their control. So maybe those people who knows they've got sugar addiction, they have to work on an addiction model, just like those people with alcohol addiction. They need to work on abstinence. So they can't just have 1 or 2 lollies. They need to not have the lollies. Otherwise, the chemicals in the brain will hijack them again, and they'll go into cravings and out of control. But understanding it's not their fault, and having self-compassion. And if you relapse, you work on self-compassion, getting back on track, and that's how I work on an addiction model, and not self-blaming. And yes,
I love that. It's a really good topic, and like you said, it's not spoken about enough.
no,
And I've said this on the podcast, like you just cannot compete with places like McDonald's that spend billions of dollars on trying to get you to eat their food.
yeah,
It's hard to compete against that.
yeah,
So you do have to obsess about the food you eat. Otherwise, you're just going to fall into the obsession of, these billion-dollar companies.
yeah,
Yeah. When it comes to addiction, you said there's a couple of, abstinence and all that sort of stuff. It's very hard when you go to the supermarket.
absolutely, it is hard.
Any tips for people or advice for people going to the supermarket trying to avoid those sort of things?
Yeah. You don't have to go to the supermarket. You can order online. You just pick the foods that you need.
Yep.
So not going to the supermarket can be a good thing for some people. And don't go to the supermarket when you're hungry. If you're hungry, then sometimes you can't control yourself. Shop around the outer rim of the supermarket. So don't go into the middle aisles. The middle aisle is often the processed foods aisle. So think real food. So if it's doesn't have a label, if there's no label, no ingredient list, that's probably real food. And learn to read food labels might be a good idea. So I talk about anything over 5 ingredients is probably processed foods. And learning to look at the ingredients, avoiding numbers and chemicals and things you don't recognize, then that's probably processed foods. Don't buy it. And prioritizing real foods like meat, eggs, chicken, fish, and veggies. That's all you need. Is that's if you buy those when you're going into a supermarket, then that's great.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard that before, but it makes total sense. Like people, get all caught up on technology and all that sort of stuff, but you can use it to your advantage. Like you don't have to go into those situations that you're probably going to fail, end up buying the lollies or the processed foods. Yeah, use the technology. To your advantage.
That's right. You can have subscription service. I've got a meat box subscription that meat comes in, and I used to do a veggie box subscription as well. Then you don't even have to go shopping if you have meat and veggies subscribed, coming every 4 weeks or something. Then you save your time and you just have to pick online.
Yeah. Before we move on I want to talk about breathwork with you.
Okay, yeah.
But before we do that, I like asking coaches or medical professionals, people that coach people, what would you, if you had a person come in and they could only focus on one thing and you had to guide them on that one thing, whether it was nutrition, sleep or exercise, what would you get them to do first, and they can only do one, and why would you get them to work on that one thing?
I would say nutrition, because if you eat better, you will function better and you can work on the other things. So if you eat better, you get more energy, then you probably feel like exercise, going outside, getting some more sunlight, and you sleep better as well if you eat better and reduce inflammation, and then you will be less stressed, and then you can manage your stress better. And it's all interconnected.
It really is. But eating is the one thing you're going to be doing anyway, so
Absolutely.
why not improve on it?
That's right.
It's not like you're not going to eat.
Yeah.
Not necessarily you are exercising, that's something you have to add in, but you are going to eat. So
that's right.
Yeah, why not make better choices around what you eat and cook?
Yeah.
When it comes, just before we move on, when it comes to cooking, because I find a lot of people hate cooking, or they have it, when you first started this conversation, people are time poor. Yeah. So when it comes to cooking, is there any ways to get people into the kitchen cooking more, or better options when they are busy, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I just like to keep things simple. You don't have to make fancy meals. Doesn't have to be so much variety. You just have to eat real food again. So put some food on the pan, have some real healthy fats, and that's all you need. So I would put some ghee on a pan or olive oil and cook a steak, and steam up some veggies, and that's my meal, and my kids are happy. People don't like steak, because a lot of women don't want to have a lot of steak. It doesn't have to be steak. You can put some chicken on the pan and fry up some chicken, and if it's real food, that's all you need. Or you can buy some beef patties in a reputable butcher with good ingredients. You can have good sausages. You can fry an egg, or there's so many ways of cooking eggs, and they're all great. You can boil, scramble, and that's how we eat for weekend brunch on the weekend for my kids, and I've cooked them bacon and eggs.
Nice.
They have toast. I don't have toast.
But like you said, they're going to burn it off, so that's when you're active like that, when you're young.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, like you said, keep it simple, but also be curious. A lot of people, when it comes to cooking or preparing meals, all that sort of stuff, they get overwhelmed. It's just like, keep it simple, be curious, learn different ways. Right. If it didn't work for you, don't do it. Find a different way. Yeah.
And I'm time poor as well. Like, I've got so many things that I like to do, and I like to rest as well. So cooking I don't use a lot of time to cook anymore. And cooking a grilled lamb cutlets, and it's half an hour. I put a steak on the pan, that doesn't even take half an hour. So most of my meals just takes half an hour to cook.
Breathwork.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How did you get into breathwork? It seems so simple and easy, but people just overlook breathing. And most people don't even breathe properly. But it's, like I said, everybody breathes, but no one thinks about it. So how did you get into breathwork, and what should people be thinking about when it comes to breathing?
Yeah. It's another thing that I think it's natural and doesn't cost anything, that we can all improve on. How I got into it was, I was a speaker in Gold Coast, and I went into Keto retreat organised by my friend Emma Martin. So I was a speaker, and I went running that morning before the conference. I was listening to Huberman talk about breathwork. So I thought, that was interesting about breathwork. And then I heard a talk by Jared Stevenson, who is a breathwork coach. So then one and one linked together, and I thought, breathing. Okay, let's learn a bit more. So I downloaded an audio book by Patrick McKeown called Oxygen Advantage. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. We can all control our nervous system, manage our stress with just paying attention to our breathing. And I started practicing breath work myself. Most mornings I would do anything between 5 and 30-minute breath work first thing in the morning with my coffee. So I have my morning coffee and I'll do my own breath work. And I did an online course with Oxygen Advantage and learned about how to teach people to breathe better. And I incorporate into my general practice. Most people don't pay attention. Sometimes when they've looked into all the lifestyle things, they think eating great and exercising, but they haven't paid attention into breathing. So when they do that, they have another edge and another tool to improve their lifestyle. A lot of people breathe through their mouth, and that's actually quite detrimental. Everybody should be breathing through the nose, and the more they do, the better they get. This includes when they're busy doing emails, even when they're exercising, and even when they're sleeping. If they can control nose breathing, then that makes them much, much better. And I've improved patients' health just by getting them to nose breathe. There's a man who has asthma and snoring and restless legs, and I just put on the social media that if everybody nose breathes, then you'll get better. And he started practicing nose breathe without even seeing me. And he said, I've saved his marriage because he stopped snoring and his wife was happy to sleep next to him. So those little stories, just amazing.
Do you know what he did to improve?
He just practiced nose breathe.
And what does that mean? So practicing nose breathing,
yes.
People will hear that and go, well, how do I practice?
Keep reminding yourself. So he had asthma, he was snoring. He probably, when he's busy doing work, he's just mouth breathe because he wasn't paying attention. And if you don't breathe through your nose and breathe through your mouth, it is easier to breathe through your mouth, and your nose might be blocked. But the more you breathe through your nose, the more your nose will open up, and sometimes congestions, sinus problems will clear up because you're practicing nose breathing. And just by doing that, he slept better, he snored less, his wife was happier, and that gave him another edge, and he was eating well already. And so I talk about nose breathing and slowing down on breathing, breathing less, breathing light, and deep into the diaphragm. So the acronym is LSD, light, slow, and deep.
Can you just talk us through taking one of those breaths?
Yeah, so if you do light breathing, it's reducing the amplitude of the breathing. So people think you have to breathe heavy and breathe big, but light breathing is like when you pay attention to breathing, you're not even moving your nose hair. If you put your finger near your nostril, your finger can't even feel the breath. So that's light breathing. Slow breathing is just slowing down. A lot of people breathe too many breaths a minute, like 15, 18 breaths a minute. If you slow down your breath to 6 breaths a minute, means breathing in for 5 counts and out for 5 counts, you will slow down your nervous system and you will be less in a flight-fight sympathetic mode and more of a rest and digest parasympathetic calmer state. So just breathing less and less frequent, less breaths a minute. So that's slow, and then deep is into the diaphragm. A lot of people breathe into the chest because they're not told to breathe into the diaphragm, but you can practice diaphragmatic breathing by holding onto the rib cage and feeling your breath going deep into the rib cage and your rib cage opening. Or you can lie down flat and put a book on your belly and see the book going up and down. And that's practicing and noticing the breath, the air going into the deep into the diaphragm. Because if you chest breathe, that's not efficient. The air doesn't go into all the lung areas, and you're more likely to keep being stressed and in a sympathetic state.
I 100% agree. I love that.
Yeah.
And for my personal touch on that, if people can do that within a workout and understand their breath and use that sort of breathing within a workout, you recover a lot quicker, you can push a lot harder, and you get so much more out of the workout. It's not easy to learn. It takes time.
Yeah.
But if you can use that within a workout, whether it's cardio, weights, anything like that, Pilates, slow moving exercises, you're going to get a whole lot more out of it. Because the same thing, I see a lot of people exercising and they're just breathing through their mouth, and all my clients know that I'm on top of them. Breathe through your nose. But yeah, I think it's just very underrated. What is you said you have a morning routine with your coffee. What does that look like?
Yeah, I love my morning routine, and because I'm so used to it, I don't have to think about it. Sets up great for the day. So the morning routine is I get up at 5:30 and brush your teeth, have a coffee, then sit down and do my breath work. The breath work, I just get an app called Insight Timer, depending on how much time I have. 5 minutes, or on the weekend I'll have 20 or 30 minutes to do breath work or a meditation, just depending on what app what track I pick on the Insight Timer. Then I remind myself, this is a morning meeting with myself. I actually learned this from David Goggins a week or so ago. Yeah. Have a morning meeting, because then you sets it up for the day. Go through what you're going to do during the day and have a mental preparation for what's going to happen that day. And it sets you up to not stress too much about, because you've planned it. This is what you're going to do. So, and then I track on my app, the Whoop, because I wear a Whoop app, a Whoop tracker. The Whoop will ask me what I've done the day before, so which includes how my eating was going, what exercise I've done, and if I've been having positive things, or if I've kept a journal, practiced gratitude. So I think about the day before, and then I do a workout. So it could be going for a run, could be strength exercises at home. Usually it's only half an hour or 45 minutes. Then I have a shower and go and drop kids off to school. So that's my routine. Don't even have to think about it. It's all set.
I'm a big fan of routines as well, morning routines, getting started for the day, all that sort of stuff. How did you come about creating a morning routine? Like when it comes to creating morning routine for people, what should people start doing and how should they start creating it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a process. It's evolved over time, over a few years. It's what worked for you. So you can build on it. It doesn't have to be fixed. And then you can add in a few things, and it might actually help establishing good habits because you're building on it, and then you've already, let's say you've already got a routine of having a coffee, and then maybe you drop the kids off. So if you have a coffee already, you can build on adding a breathwork with the coffee, then you're building on establishing good habits. So it's habit stacking.
Yeah. I was going to say, sounds like a James Clear.
That's it.
Yeah. Love that. Stacking habits. And again, same thing. People are already doing these things. So why not just add one beneficial thing in to add to it?
Yeah.
All right. So let's finish off. You have complete control over every citizen in Australia. You have got to get them to do one thing every single day. So every single person within Australia has to listen to you and do that one single thing. What would you get every single person in Australia doing every single day?
Oh, wow. Okay. I would say eat real food. Yep. Every person don't eat processed foods.
Love it.
Eat real food.
Yeah, it'd make a huge difference.
Yeah,
I think that would just completely change.
Yes.
Everybody.
With so much chronic disease and obesity, diabetes in our society. Yeah.
I know I said we'd wrap up with that, but just one more question.
Yeah, right.
When it comes to medications, as a PT, I'm starting to see, obviously, an impact of Ozempic into a lot of my clients.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I am starting to see a little bit of an overuse or abuse of that.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel like it's the same with maybe anxiety, sleep, all that sort of stuff. People I can't sleep, so I'll just go for the medication.
Yeah.
I can't lose weight, so I'll go for Ozempic or whatever, insert brand there.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is happening, or is there any trends, or how can me as a personal trainer help people go away from that sort of stuff into real food and all that sort of stuff? Any advice or anything like that?
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think our society is impatient. We want quick fix. We want a tablet. We want an injection to get our goal. And I'm not against medication, and I still prescribe medication because I've done that for 20 years, and there is this place. And it's not one or the other. It's lifestyle and medication is what I think. But people need to have informed consent on what these medications can do, and they need to understand what it does to you, because if you, for example, if you have Ozempic, you really need to strength train and exercise and lift weights, otherwise you will lose muscle and bones, not just fat. And it's actually quite detrimental losing muscle and bones, because if you grow old, you'll get frail and you fall and you break and you have osteoporosis, and if you stop your Ozempic, and then you'll put more fat back on rather than muscle and bone. So giving them those knowledge can hopefully empower them to make better decisions, but ultimately it is their body, it is their choices, and they might see it as the tool, they might still want the quick fix. And I think my job as the doctor is just to let them know the pros and cons of every single treatment, including medication and even the lifestyle advice that I give them. It's an informed decision.
Yeah, it is hard, and
Very
I think it's
difficult.
going to get worse. But I think people like you doing what you do and spreading the message and helping people like you do is a big step in the right direction in helping people move away from that and creating good lifestyle.
Yeah, I just want people to know that you don't have to go to the injection. There are so many other ways that you can work on your lifestyle. Eating real foods, strength training, sunlight exposure, breath work, managing stress, all those things that you can empower yourself. It is up to you. You don't have to rely on the medication, the injection, which can have the side effects. But you can certainly do both, and it is your decision.
And if somebody wants to work on that with you, where can they find all about you and contact you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I run a clinic called Melbourne Low Carb Clinic, which people can come and see me as a patient. We can talk about lifestyle. It doesn't have to be just low carb. And if they've done low carb already, well, most welcome. Or they don't even have to be low carb. I just named the clinic that way. So they can come in and see me in my clinic. They can follow me on social media. My handles are Dr. Charlton Lifestyle GP. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and LinkedIn. I've also got a podcast called Prescribing Lifestyle, which I am up to about 100 episodes. So they can check me out and listen to my podcast and see if they like me. And I also, we've talked about my book called Prescribing Lifestyle, which is coming out in September. So hopefully that will give people a bit of information on what I suggest. So yeah, those are the avenues that people can search me out and follow me and see if they like me.
All the links will be in the show notes. Dr. Avi Charlton, thanks again for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for having me.